Well, hello my friends, it's your old pal Jordan the Lion, and today we are leaving Wisconsin and entering Iowa. Yep, today we are going to go to see something that I've wanted to see for a very long time. We're going to go where they once said, if you build it, he will come. Daze with Jordan the Lion begins now. Here's the Mississippi River. The great Kevin Costner and James Earl Jones movie was filmed here. What a great film. Now it says on here it's closed for the season, but I bought a ticket for a tour today online on their website, so I'm hoping that they are open. Now we're gonna enter the property the same way Ray does when he's out driving around and comes back home. Off to the left you can see the field that he built, and then the family home over here that they had purchased. There it is, there's their house. That very beginning of the movie, they kind of give a little background showing how Ray and his wife meet at Berkeley when they're going to college, and that they're basically kind of fundamental hippies from the 60s who end up coming out to Iowa and buying a farm. And eventually over time, Ray starts to feel that he's becoming like his father, where he doesn't have a passion or anything that sparks him in life. And one day he's out working in the field that used to be over here, his cornfields, and he hears a voice say, if you build it, he will come. And he doesn't know what that means, but eventually he realizes that he is supposed to build a baseball diamond. He doesn't know why, but oh gosh, look how sad this is. You know, a lot of the beauty in coming out here was that you would look at the baseball field, and then out in the outfield you would see all the rows of corn. It's all gone. They're building basically like a tournament area out there for other fields, and so that's gone. I actually was hoping to come out here before they did that. But Ray builds this field, and then one day Shoeless Joe Jackson comes walking out of the cornfield and onto this baseball diamond. And Ray picks up a bat when he sees that and comes over to home plate and attempts right here to hit a fly ball out to Shoeless Joe, but he flubs it up. Then eventually he does it again and knocks one out there. God, isn't that weird to see? I mean, even with this time of the year, the corn wouldn't be high, but you can see where they've already got the bulldozers out there and everything. That's home plate right here. And then you can see the pitcher's mound. It's a fantastic movie because it actually goes a little beyond this, because Ray is going to lose his farm because of building this. A lot of the precious acreage that he needed for farming has been used up by this baseball diamond. And in the movie, Timothy Busfield, who I know from Revenge of the Nerds as Poindexter, he is the brother-in-law who's basically trying to help them sell the farm, or get them a deal to sell the farm so they don't lose everything. And Ray just won't do it because of the players here that come from the cornfields from history, and they're all sitting here. Timothy Busfield never sees the players. That's part of the problem, why he doesn't understand why they're making these decisions, until Ray goes and finds James Earl Jones and they have their moment with Moonlight Graham, and they come back out here for the big game that's going on out here in the field. And Timothy Busfield shows up and starts telling Ray that he's making a big mistake, and Ray's daughter falls off the back of the bleacher right here. And they think that she's gonna die, or they think that something's seriously wrong. And then when she comes to, all of a sudden Timothy Busfield sees all the players out here. He's like, where did all the players come from? And basically in the movie they say that if they keep this here, that people will come out here and pay $20 to come visit this field. So that's what they charge now. So hopefully we'll get to take the inside tour like I think I booked. And we'll get to see the inside of the house. I do plan on coming out here someday in the spring or the summer, but like I said, I had heard that they were going to start adding fields out there and change the whole look of this, and I wanted to get here before they did it, and it looks like I was too late. Here, if you look over the picket fence, you can see the swing that Ray's wife and daughter are sitting on and swinging on when Ray's out working in the cornfields. The field, this game, is a part of our past. It reminds us of all that was good and that can be good again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will definitely come. Now here on their facts board it says they get approximately 65,000 visitors each season. People come as far as Australia and Japan. The filming took place over a 15-week span in the summer of 1988. The porch swing used in the movie was rented from a family in Dubuque, which had to be returned after the filming was completed, so the one that we just saw was not the original. It says the Lansing family does not receive royalties or residuals from the movie. Quite the contrary, we are licensed by Universal and pay royalties to them for merchandising rights. There's one door. Now we're walking along the porch. And you can see the front door over here and the swing. Just to give you a little perspective of the house. Here's the swing. And the field. So you're my tour guide today. Absolutely. And you kind of just relieved me a little bit by telling me that when the corn is up, that they actually took into account that the new fields, you'll still be able to see the corn behind the original field and everything. There's going to be a buffer, you said?
Yeah, they will still build corn for the outfield fence here at the movie site. And there will be, for example, 20 rows of corn that'll be 8 feet tall come August. Along with this being known as the Field of Dreams farmhouse, locally we will still refer to it as the Lansing family farmhouse. That's a show of respect. 4 generations of the Lansings lived here and farmed here beginning in 1906. Don Lansing was living here as a bachelor in 1988 when they came to film. Why they came here is easily the biggest question we ever get asked. You will leave the house with that knowledge, I guarantee you. But I'll keep you guessing for a while yet. So they sold to a woman named Denise Stillman, whose picture you will see in the living room. Denise was from a suburb of Chicago. She got it. She understood the whole mystique, the second chances, the dare to dream, and just her and I hit it off right away, because if anybody geeked out as much about the field as I do, it was Denise.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, we lost Denise a little over a year ago. She died last November. We're all doing everything that we can to not only keep Denise's memory alive, but make sure that her plans for the entire property reach fruition.
So this was her idea to kind of expand things beyond it?
Absolutely. Okay. This was all her idea. The whole Major League thing got started back in 2015. Rob Manfred was here.
Cool.
For a visit. One of the biggest enhancements Denise made under her ownership is where you're standing. She opened the house for tours. People had wanted them for years, but she knew enough. There's not going to be a whole lot of interest in just coming through the shell of the house that was used.
Yeah.
They want the movie set. So this entire look had to be recreated room by room, floor to ceiling, literally piece by piece. They got an intern that had a whole lot of time to spend, because it was about a year-long project. The intern would sit down with the lady from Dyersville who runs an antique store. They would go through that movie with a fine-tooth comb, frame by frame if need be, blowing things up on computer screens to catch levels of detail that the naked eye doesn't move fast enough to catch. Most of it, sad to say, is probably collecting dust in a warehouse someplace.
Yeah.
Other pieces they rented from people in the area. The front porch swing was rented. The actual table was a butcher block table in the movie. That was rented. Most of the people wanted their stuff back, so we don't really know where most of it exists. Family absolutely fell in love with that when they placed it for the movie. So when Universal broke set, they said, well, pleased with our compliments, accept it.
So this was in the movie?
Yes.
Awesome.
It was. I actually think they just didn't want to move it. It was late in August and it was about 95 degrees. Leave it here. Everything on that works except for the clock. It's not from the movie, but the one we're using now matches the counters, which are original, as is all the shelving underneath them, all the cabinets on this side, even the open face look on the uppers. All Universal really needed to do when they came to town was stage it with some prop groceries and some dishes, and they were ready to shoot. That is one of the contributing factors to why Dyersville got the movie. A lot of prep work was not needed. Obviously that saves time, that saves money. Ray first heard the voice. Annie had been calling him in for dinner. So he gets cleaned up in the mudroom, comes in here, they're on either side of the table. That's when he tells her for the first time that he heard the voice and that it said, if you build it, he will come. Not they, he. The next morning, Annie is getting school lunch ready for Karen, the little girl. Karen is sitting in the chair with a bowl of cereal, watching the very show that's playing on the TV as we speak. It's your one trivia question. What movie is that? And you can't tell from there, but it is a Jimmy Stewart movie.
Mr. Washington? Or Mr. Smith Goes to Washington?
We get that guess a lot. Harvey.
Oh, I've never seen Harvey, that's why.
And there's two reasons why that's important. Phil Alden Robinson, director of Field of Dreams, was a big Jimmy Stewart fan. Actually wanted him to play Dr. Graham in the movie. Burt Lancaster was not his first choice. Jimmy Stewart was too sick in '88, had to decline the role, but as a director, Mr. Robinson still wanted to somehow pay tribute in his movie, so they wrote that into the movie script.
That's great.
The reason it's Harvey, and you said you hadn't seen Harvey, the storyline. Jimmy Stewart's character sees and talks to a 6-foot invisible rabbit named Harvey throughout the movie. Enough to make everybody in town figure he's nuts. So when Ray sees Karen watching it, he turns it off on her. Of course she questions him, why'd you do that? It was funny. No, that's not funny, that man's sick. It reminded him too much of himself. He was hearing voices and by that point was questioning his own sanity. Across the parking lot was corn. That's where it was shot. Ray is over there working in the corn. Here's the voice a second time. Turns his attention over here. That's the first time he sees a baseball field materialize briefly. But just long enough the light bulb goes off. Okay, that's what the voice has been telling me. I'm supposed to build a baseball diamond. Formal dining room is what we call an exercise in fantasy meeting reality. And the reason we say that, the reality out here is the table is the only part of the room you see in the movie. And you only see it twice. We already talked about the Harvey scene. But later on, Annie is over here on the telephone, except her back is to you. Ray is coming back from Minnesota with Terrence Mann. She hangs the phone up, the camera pans past her to the table. The three bankers are here, they just served the foreclosure. Timothy Busfield is her brother Mark. His two business partners are up against that counter. One of those two guys is actually a lawyer that practices here in Dyersville.
Oh.
The formal dining room, like the informal, is also only shown twice in the movie. Most people only remember seeing it once. I'll show you the other scene in about 10 minutes. What they do remember, Annie's family sitting around the table. Mark is trying to talk Ray into putting the corn back in because he's going to go bankrupt if he doesn't. Obviously the furnishings in here are newer. We updated this room to create the theme, let's say that the Kinsellas were a real life family like the Lansings. If they continued living here for 20 years after letting their house be used for a major blockbuster, how would their lives have changed? How would things have progressed?
Have any of the actors come out here since you've been working here?
No, I take that back. Dwyer Brown has been out here quite a few times. Universal wanted a complete baseball team ready to go when they got here for one simple reason. Anytime there's a game being played on the field, if it's filmed at a distance and you can't see actors' faces, These are the guys wearing the uniforms. It was a lot more authentic because they didn't come across as actors trying to portray baseball players. A year after the movie debuted, they started doing exhibitions here called Ghost Sunday. Starts every year on the 4th of July weekend. They will do 3 or 4 shows a summer. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters on baseball.
Oh, okay.
Karen is right here on the couch looking out that direction. Ray and Annie are at the table figuring out the finances.
He's a left-handed pitcher, huh? So how bad is it?
Well, considering how much less acreage we have for corn, I said we'll probably almost break even.
Passes the stairs. Bookshelf. Bay window. That's where he gets his first glimpse of Shoeless Joe waiting out in left field. Back in 1987, Universal had sent out a list of preliminary qualifications they wanted met if you wanted to be considered for getting the movie. Among the qualifications, they wanted a 2-story farmhouse on a small, family-sized farm. They even preferred that the house be white. They wanted a long access road leading up to the property, preferred the western exposure because of where the sun would be at during daytime filming. He wanted enough adjacent land they could build a diamond. A gal by the name of Sue Rydell still lives over in Dubuque. She was with the Iowa Volunteer Film Board back when we had one. Desperately wanted any Dubuque County farm to be considered, so she took it upon herself to drive dirt roads in the county for 2 weeks, taking farmhouse pictures and sending them to Hollywood. Universal built the bay window because they wanted an unobstructed view of the ball field once it was built. All that had been here when they got here was a solid wall, because all that was out there was a cornfield. Updated his old electrical box, put in central air so the actors would stay comfortable during filming.
Cool.
And as crazy as it sounds, they actually had to ask his permission to leave the house in this shape, because the original contract was for the house as it stood when he signed it. Since they had made modifications, they had to ask him to sign off that he would accept all the upgrades. Obviously, he wasn't born yesterday. He got 20 years out of him. So with contracts in place with both property owners, that meant they could get to work on the ball field. A guy by the name of Chris Krug, caught for the Cubs in the mid-60s, briefly. When he got out of baseball, he formed a company that builds athletic fields, so they hired him and his team. They also took full use of a very deep labor pool in the area. We are thick with high school kids and farmhands. Give them a sandwich and a bag of chips at the end of the day. Tell them you can say you worked on a movie set. That's all it really takes around here to get a field full of people wanting to work. Chris and his crew choreographed every step. Simultaneously, people were unwrapping sod, rolling out infield dirt. The lights are from an Iowa company. 4 12-hour shifts. We had a working baseball field with lights.
No kidding.
If you've ever been on it at night when the lights are on, you will learn quickly those are not baseball lights. Those are Hollywood lights. You try and track a fly ball and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Like
But
Shoeless Joe says in the movie.
they served the purpose. And made the director happy. He said, great, give me actors on the grass. They had to explain to him that, no, that sod that we just unwrapped, that's going to die if you use it right away. It has to take root. I said, well, I don't have time to sit here and watch grass grow. Figure a way to work around it. One of the production team members was also a groundskeeper for the Dodgers. He said, oh, that's easy. In LA, if we have a concert one night and a game the next, we just paint the dead grass. Just like getting a football field ready. It was an idea that was too easy to not work, so they hired a painter. Their only job, go out each morning, they would have everything staked off because cameras were already trained. They knew exactly what was going to show in the background. That's exactly what got painted, nothing more. High pressure air hose, food color dye. We're here for about 9 weeks, spent between $10 and $15 million. Film grossed $85 million at the box office. All of it was location filming, nothing was done on a Hollywood soundstage. So that answers another question we get a lot. Does that mean that closing scene with all the cars on the road was shot live? It absolutely means that. The paper advertisements, it even had a registration form you could fill out. First 1,500 people were told at some point your vehicle will appear in the movie. So that gave them the whole pool to choose from for the closing scene. They started lining people up here on the road, stretched back toward Dyersville as far as they could go, bumper to bumper. The next day, tentatively titled Shoeless Joe.
Oh, that's what it was originally? Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Always shot as Shoeless Joe. They even had t-shirts made up for the cast and the crew. I found one of them at our local Goodwill.
So cool.
Shoeless Joe, filmed in Dyersville, Iowa. Dates of filming.
That's awesome.
Donated it to the owner. All Universal had specified in their film notes, hire a left-handed actor in the Shoeless Joe role. Ray Liotta was a young kid at the time. It was one of his first movies. Biologically, he is left-handed. He just wanted the work, so he took it. Chances are very good he had played little to no baseball in his lifetime. What you think is Boston in the movie is actually my hometown of Dubuque.
Oh.
The only Boston that's authentic is Fenway Park, and when he first pulls into town in the Volkswagen bus. Everything else is a one-block section of Central Avenue, downtown. It runs one way. It's between 16th and 17th Streets. At the time, it was old warehouse buildings, a couple of taverns. Most of the warehouses were vacant. Played one inning of Major League Ball, never got to bat. Just as authentic is the scene in the bar toward the end of the movie where Terrence Mann is talking to all the old gentlemen about Dr. Graham and getting their memories, because those are friends of Dr. Graham, they're not actors.
Wow. That's so cool.
They caught wind up in Minnesota that was going to take place. They only wanted to provide accurate stories to Universal, so they drove down to Dubuque, but instead they were told, no, we're going to set up cameras. You're going to sit with James Earl Jones. Just tell him about your friend. It was literally two guys at the end of the bar with cameras set at interview angles, and they just talked. Whatever they got, they edited for timing, but not content, because they wanted authentic. She did always wear blue hats. Doc always did carry an umbrella. And lastly, Dwyer Brown. John Kinsella at the end of the movie. Could be the luckiest guy in Hollywood. He has a 5-minute scene at the end of a 30-year-old movie. Everybody knows him from that. Ask people to name any other TV show or movie he ever did. Usually you get crickets. I think I've had 7 people give me answers in 3 years house tours. He did do other things after the movie. Not with as big a budget to play with and not in as big a role. What most people don't know about Dwyer, 36 days before he was due on set, his dad in real life died. So he was not faking any emotion. He was swallowing quite a bit in order to keep himself together long enough to film. But he said it definitely did affect how he portrayed the character. That side of it they used as Ray and Annie's bedroom and was completely opened up to make it look like the whole floor was theirs. In the years since we have office staff here, it's been sectioned off into offices. Then on this side, there is what we call the owner's quarters that has a queen bed. You can actually rent the entire property out for an evening, and that's where you get to stay. They would show him coming in this door, but then do a quick splice to make you think that that door led into the kitchen.
Which is over here, where we started.
This shirt includes a heat-sensitive dye that as you heat up during the summertime, the players emerge out of the corn. It reacts with the dye.
And coffee mugs that do the same thing? Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll get one of those. Now that we've done the inside tour, I'm gonna go sit up on the swing. Right here on the Kinsella's family farm porch swing. You might be wondering, why did you decide to come out here in the winter when you can't see the field normally? Well, because I wanted to take a tour of the inside, and I know that when the weather is nice, those tours can get pretty packed. So I wanted to at least do the inside of the house tour while we were out here and I could see it. So before we call it a day out here, I want to sit on this bleacher and I want to walk out and see where the corn line is. I think I'm going to sit over here where James Earl Jones was sitting. I will definitely be back out here either in the spring or the summer. Now let's follow the tracks of the ghost players. So right out here is where Shoeless Joe is shagging those fly balls at the first meeting of him and Ray. And you can see that pole, that light pole right there in the footage. That's also when Joe's wondering why they have lights. And Ray says, well, a lot of the owners realized that that people could come and see games in the evening. Joe goes, owners. Here you can see where the corn starts. So from here we have a view of what Shoeless Joe would have seen as he's shagging those fly balls, and all those ghost players are out here playing. They would see this, the backstop, the house, the bleachers, everything over there. And we gotta stand on the pitching mound here. If I can get through the snow. All right, my friends, we're gonna call it a day. I hope you all enjoyed our first trip to the Field of Dreams movie site. We got to see everything inside the house other than the second floor, which was just great. I loved it, and the guy knew everything. What great trivia. Thank you, Mindy Robertson, Tangi Paranormal, Charles Dennis, and Con Boykos for becoming my newest Patreons. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye from Iowa.